everyone and welcome to my channel. In this tutorial we will work the Nuage sweater, which means cloud in French. I worked the sweater following the same pattern in two samples. One is using leftover yarns, and for the other one I wanted to be a bit lighter, so I thought that it would be a good idea to use a lighter yarn. For the leftover yarn sweater, I used one strand of DK weight yarn held together with two strands of fingering weight yarn, and the total weight was about 122 meters per 100 grams, which means that it's a heavy worsted or Aran weight yarn. So I was using the same crochet hook, a bigger size than the recommended even for the heavy worsted weight yarn. So the crochet hook that I used was 10 millimeter crochet hook, and this is because I wanted the front post double crochet, which are the stitches that we will use, not to be that heavy, that I don't know, to be a lighter sweater even if we are working in front post stitches. So I hope you will enjoy this tutorial and this sweater. The feedback for it was great because the written pattern already is out there, and I will let the link to my website where you can find it. We will talk a bit next about the structure of the sweater, about how I designed this, and then we will start working on the yoke and then the other parts of the sweater. This is a top-down sweater. It's an oversized sweater, so the bust circumference has 108 centimeters for size small, because we are working the size small here, but this pattern is available in 8 sizes up to 5 extra large. So let's talk a bit about the structure, construction. Like I said, this is a top-down sweater, so we will work from the top, from the neckline to the bottom. We'll first start working the yoke, which is a round yoke, and then we will split it into sleeves and body. I designed this yoke in sections, so basically we will have one section that we will be repeated for size small 10 times around one round. So we will start with a multiple of 4 stitches, and you will be able to see the chart in the frame into the next frame. So basically I started with a number of stitches, and then I calculated how many stitches I will need for the body and the sleeves, and of course how many rows I will need to get to the depth of my yoke, and then the number of stitches that I needed to add to get to the body and sleeves. I divide them through the rows from the yoke, and this is how I calculated everything, and it's a lot of math behind. For the other sizes, for bigger sizes, you'll have maybe different repeats. For example, there are sizes like 2XLs or XL, which you'll need a multiple of 6 stitches, for example, or even 5, so, and 8 repeats or 11. So because it's all about math and about the required stitches, this repeated section will be different for other sizes. So this tutorial is for size small, just to show you the process of making the sweater, but this tutorial is to be followed along with the written pattern, where you can find all the stitch count for every size. So this is the chart that you will find in the written pattern in the PDF version. I have here size small and medium. So like I said, we will start with a multiple of 4 stitches, then we will increase in the small section that it will be repeated along one round. So I alternate the increases at the end or at the beginning of the section, not to move the stitches too much to the right, as we will be working only on the right side. With front post stitches is not that important, but still I find it that they tend to go to the right even if you are increasing only at the beginning of the section, for example. So we will alternate increasing at the end of the section or at the beginning of the section, and I also intercalated rows without increasing because I needed more rows to complete the length of the yoke, but not so many stitches. So that's why you will see that a few rows, and I think two, on a few rows we won't make increases. So with every increase row, you will see that you will add one stitch between the increases. So every time you will increase the section with one stitch with every increasing row. This means that if we have 10 repeats, that along one row you will increase with 10 stitches. So if we started with 40, like we will start for the small size, after one increase row means that you will need to have with 10 stitches more. And of course that after each increase row, the number of stitches increases with 10 stitches. So this is all about the structure of the sweater and the construction. So we will start from the neckline and working first the yoke. So let's get into it and see how we are working the Nuage sweater. Okay, so this is the yarn that I was using for the lighter version sweater, because the tutorial will be made on this sample. So it's basic merino from Katia and 50 shades of mohair in color turquoise, also from Katia. I'm using a 10mm crochet hook. This particular hook is not a particular brand. I just bought it on Amazon, a set, and I found them really useful sometimes. And if you want, I can let a link into the description below. So we will put both strands together and we will start to chain. And like I said, for size small, we will start with 40 stitches. So our section will be of 4 stitches, repeated 10 times. You can join the chain to make the circle, but I prefer this time because I noticed that many people have more people have the issue that the foundation chain is getting twisted. So a better, I don't know, alternative to this is just to make the first row like a normal row, like a flat row, and then join it in the round at the end of the first row. Because we are doing that, we will need to chain 2 more stitches after the 40, and then continue with 1 double crochet into each stitch. We will join into the first double crochet, so chain 2 does not count as the first double crochet. And from now on we will start working in the round, and we will start with the first row, or the second, which will be an increase row. This time we will increase at the end of the section, so we will start with 1 front post double crochet into the next 3 stitches. And then to make the increase, we will work 2 front post double crochet around the 4th stitch. So we will do the increase. So we will make the increase by working 2 front post double crochet around the same stitch, and this will be how we will increase on this sweater. So now this section, we will repeat this section 10 times. So 3 front post double crochet and then 1 increase into the next, and we will repeat this section until the end of the round. Let's repeat the section and meet at the end of the round. We will join the round with a slip stitch. If you want, I didn't notice at the beginning, but if you want to do an invisible slip stitch, then you will have to remove the hook, the loop, and then go with the hook from back to front and pass the loop through the first front post double crochet. Now the third row will be a row without increasing this time, so we will need to work 1 front post double crochet around each stitch until the end of the round. Next, on the fourth round, we will increase again, and because like I said, we will alternate the increasing at the end or at the beginning of the section. This time we will do it at the beginning of the section. So around the first stitch, make 2 front post double crochet, and then continue with 1 front post double crochet into the next 4 stitches. And we will repeat the section 10 times until the end of the row. And basically from now up to round 8, so at the end of round 8, we will continue increasing once at the beginning of the section, once at the end of the section, until round 8. So you will increase basically between 2 increases you will have with 1 stitch more than the previous round. So now at the end of this round we had 4 stitches between 2 increases. On the next one we will have 5 stitches between 2 increases. Next one 6 stitches, and so on until the end of round 8. And we will meet at the end of round 8 to continue from there, because round 9 will be without increasing. So we will meet again to work that round, or from that round up to the end of the yoke together. So now I will continue with the next round, and because I increase on the previous at the beginning of the section, now I will increase at the end. So I'm starting with 1 front post double crochet into the first 5 stitches this time, because on the previous one I had 4 stitches between 2 increases, and then into the next stitch, which is the 6th stitch, I will do 2 front post double crochet around the same stitch. And I will continue with this, increasing until the end of round 8. At the end of round 8, you will have 10 stitches plus 1 increase. Eight stitches plus 1 increase, sorry. So at the end of round 8, you will have 8 plus 1. If you want to count easier the rounds, you can turn your work on the back, because it will be easier to see those rounds. Okay, so I finished round 8, so I have in total 100 stitches, as I have 8 plus 1 increase. And now round 9 will be with one front post double crochet around each stitch, so no increasing this time. So at the end of round 9, we will have the same number of stitches as at the end of round 8, which is 100 stitches. Next round will be round 10, and we will increase at the end of the section. So we will start with one front post double crochet into the next 9 stitches, and into the 10th we will do the increase. And we will repeat the section with 9 front post double crochet, 1 increase, or 9 front post double crochet, 2 front post double crochet into the next stitch 10 times to complete the round. And at the end of this round we will have 110 stitches. Okay, so we will repeat the section 9 more times. And now the next round, which will be round 11, or yes, round 11 will be without increasing. Okay, so we will work one front post double crochet around each stitch. And this will be round 11. And we will have 3 more rounds to complete the yoke section, and the next 3 rounds will be with increasing, all 3. So the next round, round 12, will be with increase at the beginning of the section, so 1 increase and then 10 stitches, then front post double crochet into the next 10 stitches. Then round 13 will be with an increase at the end of the section, and we will have 11 front post double crochet plus 1 increase, and the last row, the last round will be with increase at the beginning of the section. Same as the first 8 rounds, we will just increase with 1 stitch between 2 increases. Okay, so we will continue to work the next rounds until completing the yoke. So this was the section that we did, and now we have to complete the next 2 rounds until we will finish the yoke. And after finishing the yoke, which is in this part over here, we will split the yoke into sleeves and body. For this particular size, we will just have 47 stitches for back and front and 23 stitches for sleeves, because we have in total 140 stitches. I usually divide the total number of stitches into 6, and I'm having one part for sleeves, one part of the stitches, so the result after dividing, and two parts for front and back. And now we will work one front post double crochet into the first 47 stitches, which will be the back panel. Then we will chain 4, skip the next 23 stitches, which are the sleeve stitches. You can use stitch markers over here just to mark from the beginning before starting the separating row, to mark the stitches that you need for back, front and sleeves, and then it will be easier to just go from stitch marker to stitch marker. So now I'm counting 23 stitches for the sleeves, which I will need to skip. After chaining 4 for the armpit, and then I'm going around the next stitch and I will work 47 front post double crochet, which are the stitches for the front panel. And after finishing with the front panel stitches, we will chain the armpit stitches of 4 stitches and then join into the first front post double crochet. Okay, so now chain 4. Now it's easier, we don't need to count the sleeve stitches because we're just simply going into the first front post double crochet and close the round. Now that the separating round, this is the invisible slip stitch that I was talking about earlier. So it's better to do this because in this way the joining won't be visible at all, and when you're starting the round, just simply start without chaining, so they're directly making the first front post double crochet. So now the separating round is done. We will continue to work on the length of the sweater. This next round will be a bit different because you will need to work front post stitches, and into the armpit chain over here you will work regular double crochet because we only have chain stitches. And then starting with the next round, we will simply work front post double crochet into each stitch until we will get to the desired length. I worked in total for the length 15 rows for this sample. For the other one with leftover yarns, I made it a bit longer and I think I worked 20 rows for that one. But in case you want longer length, then you can work as many rows as you need until you will get to the desired length. And after completing the length, we will need to work the sleeves. Okay, so I finished the body of the sweater. I have here an edge that I worked at the end of the body using a smaller crochet hook. I did with a 6 millimeter crochet hook 1 round in single crochet and then 2 rounds in slip stitch into the back loop only, and this was it. But I will show you at the end of the second sleeve how you can do that. Now let's just work the second sleeve. We will rejoin yarn at the armpit using the 10 millimeter crochet hook, so not the smaller one. The smaller one, we will be using it only for the edge. And we will rejoin the yarn at the armpit. And because we already have the front post stitches of the body, we will work for the armpit chain, we will work around them. And we will do front post double crochet into each stitch around. But on this particular round, because when we are going from the armpit stitches to the sleeve stitches, as gap is formed back there, and we have a side row in which we are normally doing the stitches. This is it. But this time, because I don't want to increase the number of stitches that we have, and I cannot simply go directly into the first stitch of the sleeve, because then I will have a gap over there that I don't want it. So we will work 2 front posts or 2 stitches together. So I will go into this side row stitch. I will do a front post, or I'm going under, so it's not like a front post, but still. And don't finish this stitch, simply go into the next and work a second leg of these 2 front post double crochet together, and then close both stitches together and continue from here with 1 front post double crochet around. Then at the other side you will have to work the same 2 front post double crochet together to avoid that gap. And then after completing this round, we will continue working around 1 front post double crochet into each stitch until you will get to the desired length. I worked for the sleeve 23 rows in total, but of course if you will want more or less, then you can work the number of stitches that you need. And again, that hidden slip stitch that I was talking about, and I was just found out about it while I was working on the sweater. So in case you saw me not doing it at the beginning, it's just because I figured it out this thing later, but it's better to use it from the beginning, because this will be actually so invisible, nothing will be there. So now let's just continue working on the length of the sleeve, and we will meet at the end to work that edge that I was talking about for the bottom hem and the sleeve openings. Don't forget to go around the 2 front post double crochet together with 1 single stitch. So here it is. And the same into the other side. We will need to go around both stitches. In this way we are not increasing with 1 stitch. It's not such a big deal, because we have the sleeve with or without 1 or 2 stitches is not that important, but I wanted to show you how you can avoid that. And now really continue working one front post double crochet around each stitch until you complete the desired length. Okay, now the sleeve is done, the second sleeve, and as I said, we will work together this edge over here. And for this one, we will use a smaller crochet hook, and I chose a 6mm crochet hook for this. And I won't recommend to work the same edge around the neckline, because this will shrink pretty much the neckline. So in case you want to work an edge around that, you can do only single crochet stitches. So now we will go with one single crochet into each stitch until the end of the round. With the smaller crochet hook. We will close the round with a slip stitch into the first single crochet, chain 1 and turn, and now we will work slip stitches into the back loop only until the end of the round. When working slip stitches into the back loop, make sure that you keep your stitches looser. Finish or close the round with a slip stitch into the chain stitch at the beginning, and then turn your work and work one more row with slip stitches into the back loop only. Of course, you can do some other edge if you want. You can do a ribbing cuff, anything you will like. And basically, after finishing this edging, the sweater is done. And we will only need to hide those ends that are not so many because it's a top-down sweater, so we don't have seaming, and then just wear it, block it if you need, and this was it. So I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, because you were asking me. Basically this can be made with any yarn from DK weight up to heavy worsted weight. So I hope you enjoy it, and thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.